Hello and welcome to episode 35 of Talking Shit About. I'm Elizabeth, and each month I bring on someone to talk about something they love, something they hate, and hopefully by the end we've all learned something. This month I brought somebody to talk on about something they both love and hate. Love their animation, hate the fuck, guys. This is gonna be a whole ass thing through the episode. Technocracy, technocratic society. How about them apples? So, anyways, I hope you enjoy me stumbling through this episode and this fantastic interview with John. And let's go ahead and talk some shit.
I was like, what the fuck does that mean? I have friends that are firefighters and I know that they use soap.
And she was screaming at me over soup.
Fuck this, I am not ever talking to a Scientologist again. These people are all insane.
I'm putting my bricks in the dumpsters, motherfuckers. Do you see me, bitches? I'm throwing my bricks. And he's just like chucking bricks.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Talking Shit About. I'm here today with John Lumgair, right? Okay.
Yep, I'm good.
And we are going to talk about, and let's see if I pronounce this one right, the technocracy. I practiced this before we started. Technocracy? How do you pronounce it?
Technocracy.
Technocracy. There we
Yes.
go. I was having trouble with that. And of course, we're going to talk about Jazz Cow. So, John, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you
Good.
doing?
I'm good. Still waking up, but I got my coffee. I'm ready to go.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So, will you tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of your background, how you got into animation?
Yeah, sure. So I live in London and I've been as a child I watched too much TV. I love TV and I wanted to watch as much animation as humanly possible, which was hard because there were only four channels when I was young. And they only showed animation for very small amounts of time. So I wanted to watch all of it that I could. And they say that if you watch too much TV, you ended up with square eyes, and I probably did. But I watched through the credits and I was like, wow, how did they do this thing? And I was absolutely fascinated by the process. And then I did a lot of drawing, loved drawing, and I kind of the combination of being obsessed by watching animation on TV and then loving drawing kind of sent me down that path.
And is Jazz Cow the first like animated project you've worked on?
No, so we've been running our company for about 18 plus years, and we do all sorts of animations for businesses, charities, local government, all these types of things. And so that's the majority of what I do. But then we have been doing our own projects on the side. But Jazz Cow's a little strange because it's kind of old and new at the same time. So it was actually being developed before we officially started our company. So it's got a so it's not the first, but it predates many as well.
For sure. Will you tell us a little bit about Jazz Cow, what that is? Because I'm sure our
Hmm.
listeners are curious.
Yes. So Jazz Cow is about a jazz playing cow. And he reluctantly leads a bunch of misfits and freedom fighters and artists and poets and all kind of crazy people in resisting Dr. Pop, who is his nemesis. And he's if you like, the technocrat. We are talking about the word technocracy. And so he is trying to control the world with algorithms and getting people hooked on fake filters and mobile phones, you know, how we're all just staring at our phones all the time. And um, so, yeah, that's the kind of setup. And the thing we're trying to make is a heist, which is the first, hopefully, of many.
Very nice. And what was the inspiration for creating the show?
Wow, that's so it started with a bunch of us just having a laugh. So me and my housemates years ago, we had this book of cartoon um cartoon heroes, cartoons characters, and so many of them were had the scenario like Spider-Man, but like many others, where they get bitten by a spider and then they become like super powerful and able to save the world through these daredevil activities. And we were like, why is it always those kind of animals? And why is it always that? So we're like, well, what happens if a cow? What happens if a cow got superhero abilities? And why does it always have to be those kind of abilities? Why can't he do other things like play jazz? And we were laughing about this and thinking that kind of odd thing of jazz, quite sophisticated music, and a cow, like this dumb creature, and how those two things come together. So that was so it just came through mucking around and laughing, and but then there was all sorts of inspiration that came along as we developed it. Seeing the world around you, that's always influences what goes on. So yeah, multiple things. It's different types of art, different periods of history, history of jazz, yeah, all sorts of things.
So tell me a little bit more about our villain, Dr. Pop, and the inspiration behind him.
Yeah, so he is a technocrat. So Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos. I don't know how you pronounce his name. All those kind of characters. So he's in that kind of mold, and he wants the world to be kind of cleaner, safer, cheaper, more convenient. And like, there's nothing really to complain about. What he wants is a better world. But the problem is where you've got rules, and rules become reality has to fit the rules rather than rules bending to reality. And so ultimately, in his world, everyone just gets reduced to code. They just get minimized. And so that's the world he creates. It's kind of better, but it's not. So that's his thing.
Yeah. So from what I understand, looking up Jazz Cow is part of his mission is to fight the algorithm. So what does that mean?
Yeah, so Jazz Cow, he resists all this stuff. So in many ways, he doesn't want a cleaner, safer, cheaper, better world. Except he does. He just doesn't want to be dancing to the algorithms of a tech billionaire, and wants to do his own thing. And he doesn't want to be the leader of some kind of resistance movement, but they're all just a bunch of artists. They can't coalesce around anything. Everyone wants to do their own thing. It's chaos. And so they need somebody that can rally behind, and Jazz Cow's that person, except he's a cow. So that's the kind of broad setup.
Very nice. And would you say that we live in a God damn it, technocracy right now?
Semi. I mean, it's not the show's satirical, so it's an exaggeration of where we're at. But technocratic powers are definitely a major influence on our society. These big tech platforms they influence who gets elected, they influence what we buy. I mean, we only have to look at so an example actually was there's a little boy who came round to our house with his mum, little boy called Luigi, and we were chatting with him. And then at the end of the day, once he went home, I was looking at my phone and I got an email from eBay saying, "Are you interested in Mario and Luigi figures?" And it's like one of the devices, at least one of the devices, had been snooping on us and picked up that this word Luigi had been used a lot. And so that's the kind of world we're living in. But it's not, there's always competing interests in our society. So you've got the technocrats, but you've got also all sorts of different interests all pulling in different directions. So it's never that simple.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw on what's that?
What do you think?
Yeah, no, I like the idea. I saw the word filter thrown out there and it reminded me of this video that I saw, and it was somebody doing their makeup, but they did it without the filter because I'm always getting makeup videos because I'm assuming because I'm a woman, even though I don't really wear that much makeup. Um, and their skin always looks amazing. And I'm like, how does their skin always look so good? And then somebody explained, no, it's a filter that people put on. So their skin looks really smooth, but actually, this is what it looks like without that filter. And I was like, oh, okay. I just, I, I don't know. It didn't even like cross my mind. And then with all the AI out there, I'm constantly like, every time I see a picture, looking at the hands to make sure, like, was this made by a human? I want to make sure. And so, yeah, it's kind of this weird space that we're living in where you can't really tell what's real and what isn't. So,
And it's a
yeah.
disaster because you've got people comparing themselves to digital images, and those images are not real. So they're comparing themselves to a fake ideal that is created in a computer. And yeah, I mean that is one of the big causes of the mental health crisis, is because people are these algorithms are manipulating us. We're all manipulated, whether we like to admit it or not.
Yeah. And like scrolling through reels, it'll be dog video. And then all of a sudden it's something that's supposed to make you angry, like an angry customer or some crazy traffic thing. And then I'm like, wait, how did I get down this rabbit hole?
Hmm.
Yeah, it's
And
wild
then we
out
all get
there.
angrier with one another, assuming people are what they're not as well.
Mhm.
So we always have to go by shorthand. So the way someone's dressed or whatever, we make judgments on them. But those judgments have all been filtered through these systems. So there's more heat in society because of it. And actually, if we just got to know who people really are, then I think we'd all be a lot more chilled.
Do you see a lot of AI popping up in the animation field?
Yes and no. Um, so I think AI is probably being used for more than people probably admit, but I don't think it's being used that much. So the thing with AI is, well, in the early days of Photoshop, people would often do what was called photo bashing. So would take lots of different photographs, kind of montage them together, and then kind of paint over them so it would be completely original. But it was created through using photos. I imagine that's exactly what people are doing with AI stuff today. I I would be shocked if that's not widespread, but people aren't really talking about it. I mean, you need to be careful because it's ripping people off. And so there's all sorts of ethical questions about AI, and lots of artists have had their work basically stolen, and it's terrible. So there's that side of things. But there's AI's ability to do animation at the moment is really bad. I mean, if unless you want to have a girl standing on a cliff with her hair moving and all the frames just kind of flickering like this, then you're really going to be quite stuck. But it can be used in little elements, and I think those elements will continue to grow. Um, yeah, there's a really good article by a guy called Mike Joyer on this specific thing, and it's the best thing I've read on it. So happy to link to that if that's of interest.
Awesome. Thank you. I had a guest come on to talk about AI, but we didn't really touch on the creative aspect of it, like how AI basically steals other people's work to create something
Hmm.
new. So, yeah, I'm glad that we're touching on that. So, going back to Jazz Cow, what's your intended audience for the show?
So it's an adult audience, probably younger adult. Um, but often when you talk about animation with adult audiences, it's all like lots of dark themes or crude, and we're aiming to be kind of much bigger hearted and warmer than a lot of that. So it's something that kids could watch and not be worried that they're watching it. They just won't get half of it. like The Simpsons was. Yeah, that's our audience.
Awesome. And will you tell me a little bit about the team that you've got working on the show?
Yeah, it's quite exciting. So there's a few people I can't announce yet. Hopefully, we'll be able to at some point. But we've got James Carey, who is a comedy scriptwriter, written a lot of sitcoms for the BBC. So he worked on a show called Miranda, which was quite a big show in the UK. He had his own sitcom called Blue Zone 42, which was about troops in Afghanistan, and that did a few seasons. But he's worked on so many sitcoms, so very well established comedy writer. We've got a guy called Selom, who is a character designer, done some work for Disney and all sorts of channels, and he's brilliant. He's taken some old designs that a guy called Chris worked on, and he's really like taken them to the next level, which has been really exciting to see. And he's going to be doing a lot more. We've got a storyboard person who worked on all the way back from Animaniacs to Pinky and the Brain, Rick and Morty. So he's done a whole range of stuff over a long period of time. So he's coming in as a consultant. We've got some brilliant actors, some of which I can't name yet, but that's so we've got all sorts of different people. That's just off the top of my head.
Yeah. Is it a pretty close-knit small team working on the project right now?
Yeah, it's small. It's basically people who I've connected with over the years coming together. So it's people I've worked with before who know me, and so there's a lot of trust. But everybody's busy working on lots of different things. So trying to get people together or getting different things from people is always a bit of a challenge. But that will change if we've got the money coming in.
So, money and time seem like big kind of challenges in the field. Are there any other barriers that you guys are facing in your project?
Yeah, I think money and time are probably the biggest ones. I mean, it's had a bit of a history because we had someone pitch it around various streaming services, and they all were saying we don't really take projects that aren't based on an existing IP. So that's that was our big challenge. This is why we've gone the route of Kickstarter. So we wanted to try and get people to support making a pilot, because if we've got a pilot, then we can prove it's got a bit of an audience, it's a real thing. And yeah, so that's been a challenge, bit of a convoluted route.
Yeah. So when you say IP, what does that mean?
Oh, sorry, intellectual property.
Okay, gotcha.
So yeah, people are usually adapting books or comics, computer games, rather than taking stuff that's completely original.
That's so interesting because I feel like I hear from people all the time that they want things that are original, that they want new ideas, not the same things over and over. So that's really interesting that that's
Uh, yeah,
a barrier.
it's a system. It's systemic. Systemic.
Systemic? Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. Do you guys have a timeline for when you want your pilot done?
So we're going to launch on Kickstarter on May the 1st. And so that will run for the whole of May. If we make enough money to start, it'll probably be about a year later that we would have finished it. If we make more money, it'll probably be a bit quicker. So yeah, we're looking at about a year from May. So May 2025 if we raise the money.
Awesome. I'm sure you can't give away too much, but do you have plans for the pilot? Like, what's the adventure gonna look like?
Yeah, so it's a heist. So it's about Jazz Cow trying to get back his stolen saxophone, and which is in top high tech um technological security, but actually maybe the lo-fi way is better.
Was there anything else about the show that you wanted to touch on, or the
Uh,
process?
yeah, we can talk about the process, whatever you
Yeah.
like. You can ask me anything. You can take me down any direction.
Yeah. It's so funny. I always like when I was younger, I watched a lot of cartoons too. I really wanted to get into animation. Of course, now that I have an animator in front of me, I'm like trying to think of questions. Yeah, I guess what does the creative process look like? So I know you guys kind of sat around, talked about ideas for characters and stuff, and then does one person kind of go out and do their own thing, or do you guys meet up and brainstorm? Like, kind of what does that look like?
So yeah, it started with just us kind of mucking around and having fun, but then there's there's Chris would do these drawings and pretty quickly in a sketchbook. So we've got some really early drawings that I've uncovered. And they would then kind of get developed. So I remember actually he did a design and then we were like, that's really funny, but that's not appropriate. Uh, and I found a picture of the jazz musician Dizzy Gillespie, and I was like, "Oh, I think you should take in some influence from there." So there are different inputs that each person would have, and it's reading stuff and critiquing one another's things. And yeah, you're reading a book that's not related, and then it'll go, "Oh, that might give an idea for that." So ideas are always coming from kind of anywhere, really. It's not very orderly. But then there's the process of actually doing, and where you're taking it a bit more seriously and you're working things out. And I think often there's the iteration from the idea to actually trying to make it concrete. For our client work, it's a bit more disciplined in a way because it's like we'll research their company and then you kind of after a lot of research and meetings and talking about it, you kind of have the aha moment. But then you've got lots of refining and then sending back to them and then re-refining and changing it. So where I guess we don't have the source material like you would where you're promoting a company, your source material is just life.
Mhm.
Um,
Do you ever have a hard time with critiques? I know for me personally, anytime I ever get feedback, I have a hard time taking it personally, but sounds like you've been doing this for a little while, so maybe not.
yes. So I'm I'm pretty thick-skinned naturally. When I was at university, there was a lecturer who used to basically just go, "Your work's terrible," and like just he kind of did it to everybody. So it wasn't like you were singled out as your work's terrible. Everybody's work is terrible. It's the worst thing he's ever seen, and that was kind of you got used to that then. And looking back, yeah, it was terrible. Um, but we find with clients they can be it can really range. And sometimes it's hard to take a critique if they're wrong and you know they're wrong. And sometimes you know something would work really, really well, but they haven't got the guts to do it. And then they'll do something more conservative, and it's like, I get it. I mean, they don't want to look like an idiot in front of their boss or take a risk because it's their money they're spending. But sometimes I'm just disappointed that people haven't taken a more daring approach.
Yeah.
Once this is out, I mean, I'm sure loads of people are going to attack me from all sorts of different angles, and I'll just roll with it.
Can't please everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
What are your favorite parts about working on Jazz Cow, whether it's like the process itself or the show itself? Kind of, what are you really excited about?
I'm excited about the whole thing coming together. So seeing a full 20-minute story with all its arcs and it all just being a complete whole. Um, and seeing brilliant people working together will be really fun. And I'm looking forward to getting the actors in a room together and getting them to do a bit of improv as well, and the fun energy of that. That yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably. And see, because I won't be doing the animation itself, we're working with some brilliant, brilliant team in Argentina, and seeing um sending them the storyboard and then seeing what they send back, that's going to be really fun because it's that unknown. Because they're really what I remember doing a project with them before, and they're like, "Oh, we've got this idea of doing this. Do you want to see this a different approach?" And I was like, "Yes," and then did it, and you're like, "Yeah, that's much much funnier." So I'm looking forward to that collaboration.
Nice. And what studio is that?
It's called so in English you'd say Magic Lantern, but it's Magica Lintana or no Lintana Magica or
Okay.
something like that. My Spanish is not existent. You don't
Mine
speak
neither.
Spanish?
I
No.
took 2 years of it and I still don't speak it. It's terrible. Um, yeah, cool. Magic Lantern. Very nice. So, how can people learn more about Jazz Cow and the project and your work and all of that?
Yes, so if you go to jazzcow.co.uk, you can see our landing page and you can sign up for newsletters. And then as soon as we go live on Kickstarter, we'll inform everybody that this is the landing, this is the Kickstarter page to go to. And that's probably the most efficient because email is we have control over. We will also be on social media. So Quirky Motion is the name of my company, and on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, different things. We'll be posting lots there, but how much gets seen on people's timelines is who knows.
It's up to
Um,
Dr. Pop, right?
is that yeah, exactly. And he might change the rules.
Yeah. One more question I have for you is what do you hope that the audience will get out of watching Jazz Cow?
So first and foremost, I want them to have a really good laugh.
Cool.
And with lots of division in society, I want all the different facets of the debate to just be able to have a laugh and enjoy it and at that very simple level. But also I'd like people to question how we're all addicted to technology. And I'm not in a kind of Luddite, we must not use technology, but to just kind of think, are we becoming too individualistic? Uh, Maybe we should invest in like real life relationships and getting into the real world. And I'd also like to hold up music as a good thing and worth investing in. So it's not just often music is just seen as content to fill a iPhone or whatever, but actually it's more powerful and more interesting than that. And for people to appreciate music and even look at playing music together, that would be a wonderful outcome. Um,
Do you have any musicians lined up for the show?
um, we haven't got someone signed on the dotted line, but there's emails going back and forward, and I'm very excited about the emails. Um, so not yet, but
It's in the
Um,
works.
yeah, I mean, one thing I can say is the UK. So we want this show to be everyone enjoys it, and if you hate jazz, you'll still enjoy it. But we want the jazz to be really good, and the UK jazz scene is actually probably the most exciting in the world at the moment. Um, got a really young, energetic following, and people doing some really interesting things. So I'm hoping that will feed into some of the energy around this and help people see outside there's kind of exciting stuff going on in the world of jazz in the UK anyway. Um,
Yeah, that's very cool. I had no idea that there was a jazz scene over there. So it's very cool.
yeah,
Well, John, thank you so much for coming on. Do you have any closing thoughts? Anything else you want to add?
not particular. Actually, you said that you were interested in animation yourself.
Yeah.
So what have you ever explored doing it or what's
So I've been drawing forever. I mostly draw like cartoons and stuff. I downloaded when they made that program that Studio Ghibli uses. They made it free to download. So I downloaded it years ago, never did anything with it.
it's really
I'm one of
hard.
those, yeah, I'm one of those people that's kind of like a jack of all trades, master of none. Like I have lots of different hobbies and stuff. I've been thinking about doing like flip books, like just buying like notebooks and then doodling
Mm,
over and over and over again and just making them that way. Um,
yeah, do it.
yeah, I haven't really pursued it, but maybe I will now. This is good
Yeah.
motivation.
Yeah, it's worth I think it's great. And there are like cheap and easy to use programs for doing animation. That the Studio Ghibli one is so complicated. I didn't know what was going on. And the
Yeah.
software I use is pretty complicated, but that was just I didn't get it. But do you have an iPad?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I got a Mac.
Because on iPad there's Procreate does animation and that's really good
Okay.
and very intuitive.
Procreate.
If you do get one, Procreate's worth looking into because that's quite fun.
Yeah. So do you have any other advice for potential animators out there?
Um, yes. So my advice would be get the Animator's Survival Kit by Richard Williams. If I read that, well, I have read it, but if I absorbed all the information in it and put it into practice, I'd be a lot better. Um, I really, yeah, it's incredible. I'd look at Aaron Blaise. He worked on The Lion King and these lots and lots of Disney films, and he does courses, and so you can buy, I think like $20, $30, maybe a bit more. You can just do his animation course, and it's brilliant. I wish I'd learnt this when my brain was younger and able to absorb information more.
Yeah, I've
Um,
seen Aaron's stuff on YouTube. It's pretty great.
he's a really good teacher, and
Yeah.
he's very warm and like easy to listen to.
Well, thank you for
And
that. Appreciate
yeah, there are other learning animation resources online that are worth looking at, but that's the one that comes to mind.
it. Awesome. Thank you, John. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing about Jazz Cow and their Technocratic Society. There we go. That's how I can get around saying that.
It's
So,
tricky.
yeah. Yeah. Thanks so much for coming on the show, and I will make sure that in the notes there's links to everything so people can find you on Kickstarter and the website and all of that jazz. Do you like what I did
Brilliant.
there? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, John.
Thank you so much.
That's a wrap for this month's episode of Talking Shit About. We'll be back in June with another episode for you. If you'd like to support the show, you can do so by subscribing, downloading episodes as they come out, or sharing it with your friends, family, neighbors, strangers, etc. And if you'd like to be a guest on the show or just suggest a topic, you can email me at killizabeth.pod@gmail.com. That's KILLIZABETH.POD@gmail.com. You can also find me on Instagram with the same name. I hope you all have a great rest of your May, and I will see you next month. Take care.